This series is such a drag. It's good, but gosh, sometimes I wish they would just give it to me. It's such a tease sometimes. This is Attack on Titan final season, episode 16, aka episode 75. Attack on Titan final season. This episode, we basically got another explanation from Yelena to the crew, Armin, everyone else, Mikasa, yada yada yada, about the plan that Zeke had, which is also the euthanization of the Eldian race. And I think this was also including the Marleyan Eldians as well, the aka the honorary Marleyans, was essentially they wanted to make it so that because the world was suffering so much from Titans, that we would give them euthanization. Therefore, they can't have any more Titans because all the Eldians would become euthanized, right? For those who don't know, euthanizing is it's basically suicide. And I was like, wow, that's and this is weird too because Armin explained to Yelena. I'm not sure if this was like a weird like psychotic thing, but like he explained how like he was crying over Yelena's belief of the cause. I'm like, wait a minute, you don't think the cause is noble, right, Armin? Or was this more like a wow, it's so crazy that you think of this and you think how noble it is, despite how I think how crazy it is? That's what I sort of assumed, the latter. But who knows? Maybe Armin does think this. I don't know why, but like this is seems like a pretty crazy thing. Like, yeah, it's just like kill yourself and then the world will be fine. I'm like that's kind of a crazy way to think about it, and I kind of find it hard to think of it to I guess Aaron does think of it this way. I'm not quite sure if we've actually got the go ahead on that idea that Aaron actually thinks of it like Zeke does, the euthanization. But it's kind of hard to think Aaron does think that way. But we do see his change in demeanor. It's like maybe he does think that way now. He does look like a badass now because he got that gloomy look to him, and he's not really as sporadic as he was before, or even like crazed. He used to like yell a lot, didn't he? Right? Maybe I'm making that up, but hopefully Aaron doesn't think that way. Cause that seems like a really bad way to go out. Just like yeah, just everyone kills themselves. It's like a very Romeo Juliet like thing. But anyways, after that part, we got a little more into detail from the other side, aka the Marleyan slash Eldians, where we got Peak and Gabby meeting. And if you guys don't know, Peak is the cart titan. She ended up meeting Aaron and sort of persuading Aaron that she might be a good guy. And I was like, okay, there's no way she's a good guy, right? Like she just has a gun to this guy. Like, what's the point of having a gun to him if you want to be on his side? And you know what? Aaron was like, you know what? I don't think you're quite as good as you think you are. And I was like, oh, this is a game of chicken. And this is weird too because it's one of those things where it would psychologically change Gabby and that Gabby doesn't know what to believe in. And she was at first very hardcore Marlian. She's an Eldian that's just straight up sticking with Marlian despite how badly Marlian is treating them. And there's definitely some like weird correlation between like how um, current day culture, how this sort of thinking is going on in the current day culture. So that's thought that was kind of interesting, but yeah, Gabby didn't really know what Peak or Zeke for that matter were doing, and she was really like questioning like her nature, how she was brought up, which is understandable because she's just thrown in this new environment and she's just like trying to drink of water, but the water's coming out of like a freaking faucet and it's just all over her face. Maybe that's not a good example, but she's just taking in a lot right now, so that's understandable. We walk up and Peak offers to show Aaron something of a traitor, resembling a traitor, at the peak of the building, and I was like, okay, why would they be so close, right? Like they're in the like why would the traitors be that close? Like how can you see them from the top? Like why would they make themselves that visible? You would see them otherwise, right? So she goes up and offers to show Aaron where point out the traders are. And she goes up and I'm like, first thing I notice is, wow, it feels so good just to see the light of day. The last few episodes have literally been nothing but like black darkness. I'm just uh the light it feels good. The virtual light in this like it just feels good seeing the light for the first time for a long time. It feels so foreign. And you know what Peak does? She points right at Aaron, and all of a sudden, bam, from under the floorboards, not really floorboards, under the, what do you call it? The castle boards? They're not in the castle, right? The rock? I don't know. From under the floorboards, under the floor, it caves in, and we got Gilliard trying to eat Aaron. Of course, there was a, didn't work out, and we ended up seeing Aaron actually dodging. I'm not sure if it's dodge or miss, but he ends up getting his leg lost, and he turns up to a Titan in retaliation. But the good thing is we do see if it's good or not. I'm not sure what side I should side on because I really don't like the euthanization plan, and also feels bad to side with Gabi. But who knows? Anyways, the other thing that happens is they miss. Gilliard backs up, protects Peak and Gabi, and we see Eren just in his full founding Titan form, and we see him up against the blimps. The blimps are back. I was like, okay. And you know who's in the blimp? Reiner. I thought that was interesting. Like Reiner's finally back, and there's 5 of them. I'm not sure if they're as big as the blimp that got them away from Marley, or if they're smaller because they were so far away. I wasn't quite sure how large this army or size was. I'm assuming it's larger because it seems like they want to just like stomp out the rebellion as soon as possible, right then and there. So that was interesting to see. But one thing that was also interesting was when we saw that Gabi confront Peak about her loyalties. She was like, "I'm not necessarily a friend of Marley, but she is a friend of her comrades." I was like, "Whoa, is that deep or not?" Like maybe this is sort of like the counter rebellion where like Yelena and her rebellion with Zeke, that's like the original, but like maybe there's this counter one with Reinar that knows that perhaps Marley isn't treating them right, and they want to go on with this other alternative plan that doesn't involve euthanization, which is something I would go down, and something one of the reasons why I would think that the whole Peak and Gabi line was like, I feel like I have more understanding of like why someone would like that, or like at least that's why I would like that. And I'm becoming more accustomed to that. Like I don't really like the euthanization plan, but maybe that's the only way. Maybe that's the only way. But also I don't understand is why would you need to euthanize all the Eldians? Because only a few Eldians can become Titans. I guess not really. More Eldians can become Titans because we did see with the spinal fluid. But was that just because of Zeke's spinal fluid, or was that because there were Eldians and Zeke's spinal fluid sort of triggered that response? If that's the case, then I understand that Eldians have like this latent ability, whether it's actually like prominent and actual like this whole like genetic thing. I can't quite put my hand on it because I'm not a geneticist or anything, or didn't go to school for it. But basically, there's active and inactive traits, I believe, and I think like being a Titan probably is probably an inactive trait. But that spinal fluid that Zeke has, for whatever reason, maybe he like dosed himself with some goodies or some kind of drug. Maybe that triggers it, which is why Zeke was able to trigger those people. Or maybe it's just like I forgot what kind of Titan was the Beast Titan. Maybe that's just a Beast Titan ability, though. That could very well be a thing. Which is, I guess, the reason why you would come up with the euthanization plan. I think that would be, yeah, that's the only reason why I'd see that plan being like super viable. Otherwise, like the rumbling, if you just have the rumbling happening, Yelena talking about it could be a good way to stop surrounding nations for about 50 years and up to euthanize everyone. But then I'm thinking like, why not just keep your own nation and not worry about attacking people? But then again, it's like I don't necessarily know if all Titans can have that necessary like consciousness that like the other Titans, the Titan shifters have. So maybe it's not a viable option. But maybe they can like corner off the Titans too, right? They don't have to. The only thing that does irk me is the fact that they want to euthanize all the Titans. That frustrates me so much, and I do feel kind of against Eren at the moment, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe the fact that I feel a more understanding of how Gabby's going is probably a bad thing, but I don't know. I definitely do feel for Peak and like why she would necessarily say that she did. Like she was with her comrades and not Marley. Like that right there struck with me. I think that was pretty deep. For anyways, for this because Eren kind of feels like a not like a good guy anymore. Like he definitely doesn't feel good. And I'm glad that we got the second season announced because if they ended like this, and I knew they were gonna end like this because there was just so much more content and the season was finally ending. Like we saw 4 other series that wrap up. I was like, there's no way Attack on Titan can finish like that. There's just no way. There's no way. So that's cool. That's cool to see that we're finally getting final season. Apparently, for those who don't know, the final season, well, final season part 2 is what I'm referring to when I say final season, which is the, the second part of the final season, which is weird too because they didn't say part 1. So it's like, oh no, are they actually going to finish the series or are they just going to keep it off like that in a cliffhanger? But no, they're doing a part 2 map announced on Twitter. It's gonna be a winter, so we're gonna have some time before that happens. But at least we're gonna get the part two, which we really want. That I really want, anyways. I feel like this final season was a little slow too. This part, anyways, is a little slow. I'm hoping we get a full 24 episodes in the part two, but maybe 16 is only necessary. I don't know. It's good though. It's good though. Anyways, what do you guys think about this? Do you think they should have split up? I feel I'm so mad. I feel like they should have just done one full season because having Attack on Titan on my Sundays and Jujutsu Kaisen on my Fridays, it's gonna feel really weird for a little bit. But that'll all show up in time. That'll all show up in time. There's not much else to say about this. That there is. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I missed out on the episode. That's pretty much it. Um, the fact that Yelena's just killing people, like no, no remorse, is kind of crazy. I wonder what would really happen if she had to choose either Zeke over Aaron. I think she would choose Zeke. But also, one thing that I thought was interesting was Zeke probably didn't die because in the beginning of the show we saw that Zeke got swallowed up by that Titan. But I think that Titan is also made from his spinal fluid. So I think that he can control other Titans through his spinal fluid, right? And so he can basically protect himself that way, despite him being in like a half, like being in a half state. Like literally, the rest of his body below his like abs were like chopped off. Like there was no part of it. We couldn't see it on screen. So I think he's still alive, which is interesting because I know Levi's gonna have some say in that. Like that's gonna be crazy how he survived against that. I don't know how Levi didn't like actually think about like burning him or something because I feel like that's the only way to get rid of this Titan. All right, like I don't know how Levi just didn't think of that. That's kind of crazy. See Zeke just live like that. Also, does that mean that we're gonna get Zeke and Aaron to come back together finally, and maybe we'll have some like kerfuffle about how to go about this euthanization thing, or maybe Aaron's gonna have a different way to do about things. Maybe Aaron's gonna go just like deep on the whole I'm just gonna control everything route because that's the way he seemed like he was going. But who knows? Who knows? Anyways, tell me what you think about this in the comments below. Peace out, and I'll catch you guys later. Deuces.